BitWide is celebrating women entrepreneurs. And today we have Yana Read, who is the founder of Pupper Select, which is a locally made raw dog food. Good afternoon, Yana. It's so nice to have you here.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So, Yana, your journey started as a sales and marketing professional. And then you switched and transitioned into having your own business. And now you are navigating the business during pandemic. So tell us your journey. Like, what was it like?
Yeah, absolutely. I was in sales and marketing for 15 years, and I loved it. Like, don't get me wrong, I really loved it. But then, like you kind of go through your life stages. And I'm married. I have one daughter, and kind of like about 2 years ago, my daughter kind of like really started noticing that I wasn't really around a lot. I would travel quite a bit, like usually on like a weekly basis for like an entire month. I would be away for like half of it. So at the age of 6, I kind of like realized that she was getting a little bit unsettled with everything. So yeah, I just kind of made that choice that it's time to make a change and figure out what that change looks like, and something that involves my family into it, and especially my daughter. So yeah, so dogs is something I love. Dogs, I think they're just the
Yeah.
most loving.
Everyone loves dogs.
Yeah.
Does. And if you don't, then I think there's some issues there if you don't like dogs. But dogs just became, I mean, I've had a dog for about 20 years. I'm from Afghanistan. I originally was very, very scared of dogs because in Afghanistan, dogs are like wild animals. Like they're not domesticated. So when I met my husband 20 years ago, he convinced me that we should get a chocolate lab. And we did. And like, that was it. Like, who doesn't like labs? They're the most amazing dogs in the entire world. So yeah, once I kind of got into like, I took about 6 months off. We renewed our vows. We just kind of went traveling for a little while. And then I came back and this business just kind of like spoke to me. So that was that was kind of like, I talked to my husband about it. I talked to my daughter about it. So originally when I first had the company, we used to do like really fun things. We would go to like farmers markets. We would go to like dog events, and we would just have like a little stand.
Right.
And my always come with me, and we would just have like awareness of our product because it's raw food. We never actually sold anything on site because obviously it's raw and it needs to be refrigerated. But yeah, my daughter and I would just like talk to people, hang out for like 3-4 hours at like various different ones every single day until we got a website going, and it just kind of grew organically from there. We built our website, and from there the entire company was based on an e-commerce model anyways. So when pandemic hit, it wasn't like a big pivot for us. It was fairly natural. So we grew like slowly all throughout last year. And then I reached out to retail. So now we're in Blush Lanes, all of them within Alberta, Safeways and Sobeys as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's kind of how a company started. With the raw food, we also added last fall, we added our dehydrated treats. So everything's made locally. All of our treats are made just outside of Red Deer by an amazing couple who we work with. And yeah, so everything is locally sourced and locally made.
That sounds impressive.
Yeah, definitely. Because we've heard, like I know a couple of families like who own dogs, and they're a dog family, and they're always, hesitant to buy ready-made food, treats and stuff. So they're always on the lookout for raw food. And I'm sure like your products probably, is a savior for such families, who don't want to just feed anything to their dogs, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I think,
Yeah.
a lot of people look at raw and they think, you know what, it might be a little bit expensive, but it's really not. Our
Yeah.
food, first of all, I mean, like, I'll give you the prime example that I give to a lot of people to kind of make them explain what the difference is between raw food and kibble. So imagine that you are trying to get in shape. You go to the gym all the time. You want to have good muscle tone. You're taking your vitamins. You're doing everything right, but you're eating 50% bread all the time. Well, that's not going to help you.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely not.
That's kind of the equivalent of the two for humans.
Hmm.
So our food, I mean, like you can see the ingredients in it. Our one line, which is just our select line, there is absolutely nothing in it. It's just the animal, but we use every part of the animal. So we use their bones, their blood, every organ is used. So all the vitamins and nutrients are already in there. So how I can kind of explain that is the animal who is being, killed, for lack of a better word, all the nutrients, all the food that they've eaten, it's still inside of their body, which is how add any more nutrients to raw food.
Right. So,
I've got another question. It's all about like International Women's Day. So, have you faced any like obstacles in your career just because you are like a woman?
Yeah, actually, a couple, I would say. When I was doing my sales and marketing, actually, there's two. When I was doing sales and marketing, I think one of the things you don't realize is, I've had people who have told me that sexism does not exist in this day and age, which is very crazy. And obviously, the person that told me that was a white heterosexual male, and I have nothing against them. My husband is one of them. But I think sometimes, like when people don't experience it themselves, they just assume, well, back then it was like 2018. Obviously, we've gone through that. Men understand that women can be equals. And that's great to say that. But to actually put your money where your mouth is, it's a little bit more challenging. So I think, like a prime example I can give you, 10 years ago, this was a while ago, I was fairly new in sales and marketing. I was very nervous. I went to this meeting it was a big oil and gas company. I'm not going to say the name, but it was of men who sat in, and I did my presentation. And I was very modest dress up to my knees. And one of the guys just said, "Hey, honey, great legs." And I just kind of went outside for like a minute and just like took a moment and, I'm not your honey. And like what I wanted to say, if that had happened to me now, I would have said, "Would you say that to your own daughter?" And that's where they don't put two and two together, because I'm sure most of these men have daughters. Would you want her to go into a presentation and for a man like yourself to say that to her? It's very degrading and it's very condescending, and you feel this big in front of everyone. And so anyways, I got my presentation done, I got out of it, but that was an incident I never forgot, of just how belittled I felt. And I had tears in my eyes. And then I thought, well, you can't have tears. This is exactly what they say. Like, women cry and we're too emotional. So that was like my biggest kind of thing in sales and marketing. Obviously, as time grew and my confidence grew, I think that you can stand up for yourself. Yeah. And every woman that I kind of mentored over time, my biggest thing was just stand up for yourself. If you don't like how you're being spoken to, say something. It's okay to say something. Don't just take it, because I took it for years, just thinking, well, I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to make anyone upset. But this is why it's so important to have other women behind you, where other women can give you confidence to say, you know what, you can stand up to anyone you want. It doesn't matter if it's a CEO. It's okay to stand up. Whereas I didn't have that back then, 10 years ago. So that was my biggest one, I think, over that was one incident that stood by. But I think in business, like, to be honest with you, and this is not just a woman issue, I think this is just being an entrepreneur. I am a very good salesperson. And that is something that I knew about myself when I got into business. But what I didn't realize is sales is sales, business is business. Just because you're good in sales does not mean you're good as a business person. There's things like cash flow, taxes, budgets, legal stuff that I didn't even remotely think about. So I think those were my biggest challenges trying to overcome in the past year, just understanding how, something so simple as, how do you do your GST? How do you do your taxes? How do you get an accountant? How do you keep your books? These are very simple things, but if you've never done it before, you have no idea. So those are probably like my two biggest challenges in sales and marketing when I was working for someone, and also like when I had my own company. And my biggest kind of savior were two programs that really helped me. And I really talk about them a lot, because I want any woman who hears this to reach out. ATBX has an amazing program that they bring on entrepreneurs. So brand new ones, they teach you everything what you don't know. So they'll literally like sit you down and say, what is it that you're uncomfortable with? And then they'll bring in professionals. They'll help you. It's at zero cost to you. This is just a program that they offer. A second one is AWE. I'm not sure if you've heard of them, but it's the Alberta Women Entrepreneurs Group. And this is a resource that almost no one knows about. I got introduced to it by a girlfriend of mine. But I mean, they will help you with everything from marketing, sales, your platforms, your website, to even like actual financial help that they will lend you with your business plan. So those are two resources that I think really kind of helped me, that I cannot stop talking about it, everyone that I talk to. And I think more women need to know about these two programs.
Yeah.
Okay.
And especially when you're starting, it's
We probably should post the links to those.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what is your advice like for women who want to, start a career in your industry? So, you did mention these two groups.
Like entrepreneurship?
Yeah, like entrepreneurship in your industry.
My biggest advice would be, look, fear takes all of us. Fear takes a hold of all of us. No matter what you do, if you go work for another company, if you have your own company, you're going to be terrified no matter what. So decide at the end of the day what's right for you and your family. Entrepreneurship and this business, it worked for me at the time it came into my life, where my daughter could do it with me. My family was a very important part of this, of me having my own company. I didn't want to work for anyone else. And more importantly than anything, I just didn't want to travel that much and just be away from my daughter. So just go for it. When you go for it, and this sounds a little bit, well, I don't know how it sounds, but the universe will just give you what you need. Just go for it. Just go for it. And I promise you, like I made my decision and I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I had no idea how to actually run a business or do anything, but I kind of like leaped in, and then ATBX kind of came my way. And that was by accident. I happened to find out about ATBX. Then a girlfriend of mine told me about AWE. Like, the universe really does conspire to help you with your goals. So whatever it is you want to do, whether you want to go, whatever like your plans are, just go for it. Don't think about it. Just go for it.
That's great advice. And this advice actually works for everyone, I believe. Yeah. I mean, for everyone. Yeah.
You just have to hear your calling, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And you know what? Your calling might be different at various stages in your life. And that's okay. And I mean, I grew up like in a culture where if you were going to be a doctor, lawyer, and an engineer, that was all that mattered. And whatever career you picked, you lived and you died with that career. And that's I mean, at different stages in your life, when I was younger, it was important to work for someone, and there was a lot of learnings I had to have. But as I grew and I have a family and I have children, it changes. My priorities change. So yeah, I mean, at different stages, and if it's time to make a change, make a change. Don't be scared.
Oh yeah. Oh my, it works for me. All right, and it's probably like last question. Can you name one business woman who inspired you the most, like the best woman?
Yeah, actually, absolutely. I actually have two that I can share with you.
Okay.
And these are women that I know personally. I mean, obviously, I could name you, like, there's a ton of amazing women who've done amazing things. But I mean, I don't know them personally, but there's two that really have helped me in my own journey. The first one is Phoebe Fung. She's actually from Calgary. She owns all of the Vin routes. There's one downtown, one in the west, and one at the airport. So she was the first woman I met who really just wanted to help me. And she was the one that told me about AWE and really was there for me, like throughout the whole thing of, I was very naive when I first got into it. And there was a lot of decisions that people were saying, you should do this. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll do this, or I'll do that. And she took me under her wing and said, no, you know what? You have to understand, this person has like ulterior motives, or this person has this. And so she was one of the ones, I mean, she was the first one that really just kind of had my back. And then she introduced me to a whole group of entrepreneurs that really have had my back since then. And that's kind of like my group that I reach out to when I need help. The second person is Megan Stanley. She owns Dogma Training. So we all share a love for dogs, obviously, and obviously the Vin Room. So Phoebe was the very, very first restaurant 10 years ago. I guess it was over 10 years ago now. That she had the dog-friendly patios. But she kind of started that trend. in Calgary, but she absolutely loves dogs, and so does Megan. So we share that, and both of them are amazing businesswomen, and they really are the people that I reach out to when I need help or I need some kind of inspiration or I just need a drink sometimes, whatever.
Yeah, right.
It's the best story.
Yeah.
All right, Stephanie, any other questions?
I think we are good for now. The chat was lovely.
Yeah.
It was so
Thanks a lot.
informational. Thank you so much. And I'm sure that, whoever listens to this, they will probably, find it helpful, and it will help in their journey as well. Thank you so much, Yana.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I mean, sometimes you just need to hear this, like, go for it. Yeah. Let's do it. Don't be afraid.
Exactly.
It sounds almost like a cliche, but until you understand what it actually means, it actually clicks in your head. You're like, oh, well, this is what they mean, because you're not going to have all the answers right off the bat. You make a decision and then you just put it out to the universe. And it's true. The universe just conspires in the perfect way and brings the right people into your life in those perfect moments to help you. And then you also know that you're on the right path.
Right.
Absolutely right. All right, Yana, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks a lot.
And more power to women.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I love this campaign that you guys are doing, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the other women that will participate.